Welcome to Tap In. My name is David Figueroa-Martinez of DFM Coaching, and today we're going to be reviewing and discussing back control. This is going to be part of a positional series that I'm doing. And the back, for me, is a really strong position. It's a position that I think, regardless of size, you can make your own. There are limitations, and let's say you're smaller and your opponent's much, much, much bigger than you. You may not want to play off the back. What I like about it is that the arms aren't in play in the way that mount does, and you can really devise a lot of different attacks from there while isolating and pinning the arms in a way that they can't come back to defend. It is a position that's regarded as high in MMA and jiu-jitsu, gi and no-gi. But I think it has a couple of limitations where depends when you ask. I don't think it rates as high as mount for me. There's less submissions from the position. If the person's much larger, it's a little bit of a hindrance. There's a couple of things I don't necessarily like from mount in that sense. If all things are equal, mount is a position that I love working to. If I'm going against someone similar in size, I love the position. So I am on your back. Both of my hooks or heels are inside of your hip, pulling into your groin. My hands, I'm picking a side. In this case, I tend to play with my left arm over your shoulder trap, connected to your neck, plays over that position and across your chest. My right arm is under your armpit, and it's a bit shorter than my left arm is going to be more exposed because it comes across your chest. And then my right arm is going to be right where the wrist ends, and it's going to be grabbing on top of that hand, wrist. I'm not doing any gable grips. So if you can picture, and it sounds violent, if you can picture me holding a knife, thumb side is where the blade is. I turn my hand so that the top of my hand, the thumb, is against the chest. The fist is curled down, and then my right hand is wrapped over the wrist and hand. And we're pulling that into the chest. My chest is connected to your back, and there's no space between the two. That is the traditional basic back control. There are variations. Some people who have longer limbs, or when we're against someone who's really slim and skinny, we can do a body triangle, which if my upper half is still doing the same thing, my lower half, my right leg, comes across across the waist. My foot is flared, and my left leg figure fours over that like I'm doing a triangle. I keep, when I do this, and not very often because I have short legs, I keep that lower leg of the left leg on the outside of my opponent's legs and kind of wrapped behind their calf. You don't want to put that outside leg on the inside between both of their legs. Hopefully that makes sense. A variation that I play, because I have shorter limbs, it's the exact same thing with everything except I'm unable to figure four my legs. My right leg comes across the body and just kind of hangs out in front of their hip. My left leg, which would be the outside leg, will post against their hip, and it's going to be pushing down. It does similar things in the terms of control. It doesn't suck. Body triangles, when people can get them on you, they restrict your breathing. They become really uncomfortable. And in certain situations, they can cause you to tap. The short leg version that I do does none of those things. It's just a controlling mechanism for that outside hip. I'm pushing down on it so that you can't turn as easily. It allows me to attack some other things as well. So all of these things are dependent on what your end goals are going to be. If you're because there's two sides to the back, you can be on your, let's say they push, you're on your back and they need to escape. They're going to pick one side or the other. They will more than likely want to escape on the weak side. The weak side is the arm that I have under the armpit. And the reason it's the weak side is because there's an opening on that side. My arm that's seat belted across and over their body acts as a barrier So they typically do not want to go to the strong side, which is what people call that, which is my left hip. If my left arm is over the top in a seatbelt motion, they don't want to go that route because they have to break past that arm and the legs. So generally speaking, going to the weak side for my opponent is a better option. Now, you can develop games on both. I have a preference for playing on the weak side as the attacker. I can get a Kimura grip on that arm. I can start setting up collar chokes. I can set up bow and arrow. I can set up the arm bar. There's a couple of things that I like from that position that give me more options for me. If they go to the strong side, you can set up some of the very same techniques minus the arm bar Kimura grip. It's not as useful on that side. Whether you play one or the other is completely up to you. It's just personal belief. If I play on the weak side, I have to make sure my head is between their head and the mat. If they're ever able to put their head towards the mat and beat me in that position, they're getting out. So there's things to be aware of. If you're playing the weak side as the attacker, I would probably tell people to play the strong side if you're an attacker and new to the sport. Once you develop certain characteristics and controls, go over to the weak side. It's a little harder. There's things you have to worry about. But for me, it's the side that I love playing. Some key details. I don't, and we're going to tell people not to do this, but we're going to end up doing this at some point. I don't want students to cross their ankles as a control point. If you're aware of it and you're aware and you have a sensitivity to what your opponent can do from that position, you can get away with it. Early on, we usually tell students not to bother because while it feels more secure, and it is, it's my belief that it is, it opens you up to a nasty straight foot lock. If your opponent has the dexterity to wrap one of their legs over the top of both of your ankles that are crossed, they can figure four your legs, start exploding through with a bridge, and it foot locks you. It's not fun. It's pretty painful. If you're aware that that's a possibility and you're sensitive to it, you will often feel the legs start to move and you'll uncross your legs and you'll be free before they even wrap over the top. Keep that in mind. When I'm late for that, just push the head away. Like bail on the seatbelt, start pushing the head towards their knees, and they're unable to explode into the footlock. So there are ways to remedy that attack. But if you're not sensitive to it, stay away from it. Don't cross your feet. I tend to cross my feet. I like the position and the control points from time to time, and I don't keep them crossed for long periods. I generally do that for people who are like really explosive and they're high energy. Once they calm down, I go revert back to the things that I really like doing. But for the time being, it does give me more control. What is there? What else is there? If we're starting to lose head position or they're trying to slide away, you can retake the back. Keep the same seatbelt grip. They fight off of one hook. Make sure that you drive off of that hook that they fought. Keep the other one in place. Bring that knee all the way up to your elbow, shoulder, and then push yourself back to the other side and rehook. And you can make a drill out of this where they continually work off the outside hook. You keep the position with the seatbelt. You drive the inside knee all the way up and you rehook. And you can make a warm-up drill out of it. You can make a drill to improve your back retention off of it. You don't want to create any space between your chest and their back. Like that has to be really tight. The other aspect to the seatbelt that I sometimes think people forget about is when I have that seatbelt, the arm that's wrapped over their chest and shoulder, we don't pull enough with that elbow. So sometimes the only pressing mechanism that you'll feel is the two hands over the inside chest pulling in. Don't forget that you can actually wrap the elbow a little deeper on the chest and pull that in as well. And that locks people into place. It's hugely beneficial. It allows you to hold on better. It keeps them chest or back to chest more evenly. and it forces them to have to use a bit more strength to try to get out. Don't forget about that. Don't forget about how important your legs are. Your legs can't be relaxed. Let me backtrack. They have to be relaxed but firm. They can't be lazy. My hooks are constantly pulling in. It's not a pull where I'm using up a bunch of energy and I'm tense. That's different. It's a pull where it's just stern. If they start to work their way off, I might adjust the hooks. I might switch over to a body triangle or the modified body triangle if you have shorter legs. Your upper body is constantly fighting to keep them in place. Some things that you should also keep in mind, if I'm against someone who's much larger than me, I may not be able to get the hooks around their midsection. And those are positions where I tend to not go that route. I'll avoid the back in a traditional sense. It doesn't help. If the size is so different that your legs can't meet the inside of the hips, they can't go across the belly, it's not as beneficial for you, and you're going to tire yourself out. In some regard, you could injure yourself. They can start to flatten you out onto your back and drive their weight backwards, which is not fun as well. So those are the limitations for me of some of the back control and exposure that sometimes I feel like maybe the mount is best for me. Like there's certain situations where I'm like, no, mount is better. And there's certain aspects of back where I feel like, no, that's better. So it's hard for me to give you a definitive answer. I use them based on body types. Submissions that we can find off the back: rear naked choke, double lapel guard or lapel chokes. You have an arm bar if you have Kimura grip on the weak side. On that same grip, you can do a back triangle. There are Ezekiel variations that you get from back here. You can do, and I don't know what this is called, not quite a rear naked choke, but your hands are palm to palm and your arm is behind their back, but it's not secured like a rear naked choke. There's that. There's times when sometimes I can't meet my hands together because I'm hand fighting. I can clasp their shoulder and pull my elbow back and get a choke with that. Sometimes I grab my own gi top to secure it and pull the elbow back to get the choke. There's quite a few submissions from here. Not as many as I think that I can find from mount. And I think that's just personal preference, and someone will argue the back's the best, and that's fine. There is going to be some hand fighting that happens in this position. If you can isolate arms, you can win the battle. When you're on the back, they have two arms and a chin. You have two arms and you have two legs. Their legs are not in play when it comes to defending at all. So right off the bat, you already have a little bit of a leg up, if you will. You have an advantage tactically because of the position that you're in. Their legs are no longer going to be in play here, but your legs can be. Sometimes I grab both wrists. So instead of doing the seatbelt, the arm that's over the top is seatbelting, sort of, and it's grabbing the bottom wrist. The arm that's on the underside armpit area is grabbing the cross wrist, the top wrist. And I will push that top wrist down and slide my top leg over the top and yank that leg back and hide my foot behind their lower back, trapping their arm in place. When I trap their arm in place, now it's 3-on-1 in essence, if you will. They can tuck their chin, they can use a little bit of their shoulder, but it's not a great defense. My bottom hand will grab over their pinky, not their wrist. If I grab wrist, most people can power out by straightening their arm. If I grab pinky, the end of the lever, it is really hard to break that grip unless the size difference is so great. Now, I have both of their arms tied up. They're not in a defensive posture. They cannot give me the same problems that they were before. Now I just have to deal with shoulder and chin. I take my free arm, which is the top arm, and I make like a monkey paw or tiger paw or whatever. I curl both forefingers towards the inside palm, keep them extended, and then I curl the thumb in. It looks almost like a kung fu type striking. And I bring the knuckle of my thumb to the bottom of the ear, and I wiggle that across the bottom of the jaw. Sometimes this takes time. I am super patient here. I'm in no rush. I have the position. And then we start to wiggle underneath the chin, go all the way. And then we start getting to the chokes that we normally do. If this is a competition or if you're really friendly with people, cover their mouths, cover their nose and mouth, and they'll immediately jerk away and then you can go under the chin. If someone was being mean to me, I'll use the inside wrist under the bottom of their nose and wiggle and force their chin up. Not something I do very often. You have to be literally on my shit list for me to do that. Or it's a competition, not something I normally go to. So there's ways of making the odds stack in your favor by taking away tools of theirs. It's a beautiful position. It's a position that anyone can play. It just takes time to get used to, just like any of the other positions. You have to spend a lot of time there in order to feel more comfortable, in order to feel comfortable isolating limbs, in order to feel comfortable to start attacking, and you're going to lose the back a lot. You just are. Understand that when you start losing the back, maybe they've made their way off of one of your hooks, you have to determine when it's time to go to mount. You don't want to lose the dominant position for like half guard or lose the position completely. So when they start to make their way off of a hook, I have to hook behind the head, maybe behind one of the arms, and I have to make my way into mount before they can make their way out completely, because they're going to try to scrape you across the mat. Their back is going to be flat, and there's an opening there for you to go to mount. If you go to mount, start isolating an arm, go to S mount, take the back all over again. If that's the position you want, it's not an end all be all. There are going to be times when you're going to have to give up one to get the other. Just don't give up the dominant position of mount or back for like half or some other position. Understand that if they start to give away, you have to be first. I'm hoping that this helped. I'm hoping that this sheds some light on the position itself and some of the possibilities, some of the weaknesses, some of the things you need to be aware of. If you have any questions about this, please reach out to me, dfm.2099 on Instagram or Threads. I'm really active on there. If you'd like to work with me, shoot me a message. I do a bunch of coaching stuff. And lastly, if you'd like to join my free school program, it is on School DFM Coaching BJJ, completely free for the time being. I have videos, a couple of audio courses, all of my workshops. If you can't make them, end up on there. Again, completely free. Any questions, please reach out to me. Thank you so much. Until next time.